Hey, hey, it's me, Craigie B, and I think the place to begin here is with hello, all the people. Good morning, good morning. It is Saturday, March the 8th, and it is day 8 of Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month, and I thought today I would share a little about my personal MS journey, and um, I think I'll begin with the middle of January this year. I was chatting with one of my coaches, and at that time, I was working towards um, what I thought was going to be the relaunch of my Corporate Escape Plan podcast, building a community and a business around that. But um, the conversation I had with one of my coaches actually caused a change in thinking, and he and it was all prompted by this. He asked me, um, knowing that I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2019, he asked me what MS related networks or community support groups I had joined, and my answer to that at the time, as little less than 2 months ago, my answer was none. And I knew this. I knew this answer would require some explanation, and so I thought I would share a specific element of my journey that deals with that, the reason that I made that decision at the time. So, um, in late February 2019, I happen to consider myself to be quite severely disabled. Now, I know that compared to lots of other disabled people in the world, um, probably not severely disabled as such, but um, given because this had happened so quickly to me, it was what I can say is that it was a big adjustment for me. But to offer an indication of where I was at when I was physically in my worst condition back in February 2019, I had this following non-exhaustive list of really quite troubling symptoms. So I had two legs that no longer supported my body weight. Uh, the one leg, my right leg, was so unresponsive. The only way I could move it was by shoveling it around with my hands. I had sensory loss from the chest down, and I had shooting pains in my head. I had flu-like shivers. I had swollen feet, which were enormous. I had to um, buy a whole bunch of different shoes and trainers and things, um, so because just nothing fitted anymore, and I also was suffering disorientation and lack of balance, and fatigue, which was both mental and physical. I was constantly out of energy, tired. Um, I had back pain. My back was um, not only was I in quite bad pain, um, my spine was locked as well. I could no longer turn it, and I also had problems with my digestive system, my urinary system. I had tremors in my hands and arms, so a whole bunch of things were wrong with me, really. And the surgeon responsible for my case when I first arrived at hospital, he said they'd discovered lesions um, in both my brain and my spinal column. Now, looking back right now, I realised that I didn't actually know what that meant at the time. I do now, but I just knew it sounded bad, and so this my neurosurgeon responsible for my case, he was quick to reveal that he suspected MS um, as being at the top of his list of suspected underlying problems or causes of my condition. Now, in that particular moment, I made an immediate decision not to look up anything online about the condition or to seek out any online groups. And now, the reason I made this decision and stuck to it throughout the majority of years that followed is that I did not want to pick up any preconceived ideas about the condition or limiting beliefs about what future to expect, um, for the fear that those limiting beliefs and things that I begin imagining about worst case scenarios could become a self fulfilling prophecy. So that's why I made that decision at the time, and indeed, I I immediately put any fearful thoughts out of my head, and immediately in that moment in February 2019 began imagining myself walking to my local cricket club later that spring, something which I actually managed to do literally as little as 2 months later with the aid of a walking stick. Now, um, almost 6 years on, well, just over 6 years on from that now, I'm more convinced than ever now that this was the right decision for me. I'm not saying it would be for everybody, but for me, certainly, I believe that to be the case. Now, one of the reasons for this was because I had already noticed throughout my life that limiting beliefs I had acquired from previous life environments had already held me back in so many ways throughout my lifetime. So um, I'd already learned and discovered how much work it can be to undo the effects of limiting beliefs. And uh, because first it requires to identify them, um, because often the beliefs that we have operate on an unconscious level. We're not even consciously aware that they exist in the first place. So it's a lot of work to undo limiting beliefs and to shape your life in positive ways. So um, when you sometimes when you pick up beliefs, it involves conscious decisions, but sometimes you don't even notice it happening, because it can happen just through the environments that you're in, especially at a very young age. And I was determined not to allow this to happen to me when I was already quite severely disabled in that moment. So in my mind, I only wanted to see possibilities, and there was and there was one life-affirming event for me which happened about a year after my original diagnosis. So um, I would say sometime in the year 2020, I I ordered a taxi, a cab, to take me for one of my full body scans. It's roughly about 20 miles from home, and it was a 20-mile journey there, 20 back, of course. And um, my my cabbie, my taxi driver, actually offered to wait for me while I was having my scan. And when we met again after after my scans had been completed, um, he asked me the purpose of my visit. So I explained to him um, my diagnosis, why I was there, and when I'd explained that, he began asking me lots of questions. So which involved me sharing with him symptoms that I'd had when I was at my worst, um, which I mentioned because I was walking quite freely by this time. So um, considering the um, the subject matter, um, and um, the direction the conversation was about to head, one thing I would mention at this point is that this was an incredibly upbeat conversation that we were having. We were both smiling. uh, and both actively engaging in really positive fashion about what we were talking about. Now, seeing me walking and talking so positively about how things were going for me and the recovery I was making, this cab driver actually eventually revealed to me that his brother had been the same as I had been at my worst and had the same diagnosis. Um, but he said to me, and this has stuck in my head so clearly ever since. He said to me, the difference between his brother and me was that his brother gave up and died a year later, whereas in contrast, I was walking freely and really happy about the progress I was making. And um, this conversation underlined to me something I've believed since the 1990s, that the way we think is capable of having a huge impact on our health and the way we're able to live. And I've found that my positivity levels have fluctuated a fair bit over the intervening years, but that has always been for reasons unrelated to my condition, but which have in turn affected my condition. So there's definitely been some bumps in the road, but my attitude to my condition and how I manage it has always been positive, and I strongly believe how I think and feel about myself and the outcomes I'm seeking have shaped my ability to get out there jogging every day so far this month. And right now, I'm loving this life journey. I'm loving my life journey. All my reflections upon my journey so far really confirm to me the way we manage our brains have such a powerful influence on the way we navigate life's challenges and the outcomes we create for ourselves, both positive and negative. And there's amazing discoveries arising around the world throughout the associated fields of neuroscience, neuropsychology, neuroplasticity, to name but a few. And these associated fields, are beginning to prove um, what people in less sciencey fields such as NLP have been saying and believing for many years. And I'm just excited to be sharing my journey um, throughout MS Awareness Month and beyond. And that's all for now. That's all. I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.